how to access WordPress admin with a fatal error warning. If you've seen this screen, you know that this can bring a quick end to your mood. It can definitely stop you in your tracks, and it is nothing to take lightly, but it's also something that probably can be fixed relatively easily. In this video, we're going to go over how to, for one, fix this issue, but then also kind of some things to help out with not having this happen. My name is Andy with Oscar Can Do It. We help out with business website automations. We also build websites that automate into CRMs and hosting and stuff like that. So if this is something that you need, be sure to contact us. But let's get into it. So this screen right here, again, this will stop you dead in your tracks. But one of the very first things that we're going to need to do is get access to your server. So if you don't have access to that, you got to get access to it. If you don't have access to it, go ask your web developer or somebody who does have access, because you're not fixing it without it. So once you get server access, I actually have open two different servers. We have a cPanel server, and then we also have a SiteGround server. I don't have access to everything else because, again, you got to pay for servers. That is what it is. So I'm trying to show you all options. So one of the very first things that we need to do is we need to make sure our memory is up to speed. And if that's something that you set one time, if you know that it is, you can skip this step and move on to the next timestamp. But the way you can go and check your memory is we can go into cPanel. Your cPanel should look very similar to this, and we'll scroll on down and we'll go to multi-PHP INI editor. Okay, so we're going to click on this. And then we're going to select a location, and we're going to select our domain name. And you're going to see right here, memory limit. This is well above what is needed. I think 256 M is kind of the proper by default setup. Let's go into SiteGround. We're going to go into SiteGround, and we're going to go see, okay, here is another server, but if we're logged in, and we can go down here to PHP Manager underneath devs. We're going to click on PHP Manager. We're going to go as soon as this wants to click on here. So right here you see PHP version and variables. So variables, we want to go and find memory. So we're going to go and click on this. It should be memory limit. So this is the default. So we have plenty of memory for each of those things. So check that off the list. That is not even an issue. So again, future issues, that's nothing that you need to worry about. Okay, so once you figure out that it's not a memory issue, you don't need to worry about that ever again, because not ever again, but it's going to be a long time before we need to worry about that. So that's something to cross off the list. Next up, we're going to go make sure that our database is definitely connected. A lot of times you're going to see a database not connected issue, stuff like that. You're going to see a database warning, but sometimes it can be. It's good to check. So when you go in here, I'm in cPanel right now. What we're going to do is check two places. We're going to go into our file manager, and we are going to, you see our root directory. We're going to click on this public HTTP, HTML, and we're going to find our wp-config file. And we're going to right click and click edit. So there are some things, there's three different things we need to see in this file. So these three things right here are going to be blurred out, but you're going to be able to know, okay, I want to look up DB name, DB user, DB password. Okay, you're like, Andy, where are those located? It's very easy. So let's go back into cPanel. Now we're going to go into databases right here. Okay, so you see, here are your databases, stuff like that. And so right here, you can see here's the database name. Here's the database name. Then here is the database user that's attached to it. You want to make sure you see that this database is attached to that user, because if they're not, you don't have permission to actually be on the database. So again, causes issues, stuff like that. But just make sure the database that you have is connected to the user, and you can actually go and add database. If that's the case, go add database to user down here at the bottom. But if you need to change passwords, you can actually go under users, current users right here, and change passwords. So this person right here, 5AQVE, we'll go back into the wfig. Okay, so this right here, yep, that's exactly right. And let's go back into here. Let's go find the database, fxpdi. Okay, cool. We're going to assume this question is correct because the site is actually live. So this is something, if this is there, then again, it's one less thing to check off. Usually this is by default set up when you actually install WordPress. In order to see it in the beginning, this has got to be connected. But again, it can cause an issue, stuff like that. So I'm going to exit out of here. And then same thing with in here. In SiteGround, we can go under Sites and we can go under File Manager. And then we can see public HTML, and then we can go look up wp-config, and we're going to click edit, and you can see here's the wp-config, wp-config, and you can see here's the same thing right here. Again, you're just going to go into MySQL database, probably want to open this up in a new tab, and then just basically go in and make sure that the username and the password. So here's the database right there, here's users right there, and just eyeballing it, EFC is the, yep, so those all look the same. So that is how you can go in and go into SiteGround and cPanel and be able to do it. So next up is going to be one of your main culprits. It is absolutely probably the thing that's going to cause you the most issues. And so what you're going to want to do is, I'm going to actually do this. This is our live website right here. And so once our live website, you see this area, this issue right here, as soon as we do this, it's going to back things out. So what you want to do is be able to go into WP content. Okay, so if we are in our root file, we did public.html, we're going to go into WP content, and then we're going to go under plugins. And what we're going to do is right click on this, and we're going to rename this. We're going to rename it to say old. And we're just name it whatever you want. So rename it old. And so now we can go back into this page and we can go and see there's nothing on this site. So it is literally bare bones. Nothing's on here. It is what it is. So let me go log in. So now you should be able to see this login screen. So this right here is what would be considered a plugin conflict. So you're going to see nothing on this side over here, and you're going to try to navigate over to plugins, and you're going to see this whole list of plugins right here that are deactivated, and nothing's going to be in here. So you're going to be like, crap. But if you're at this point, that means that there was more than likely a plugin conflict and that you needed to take care of that or go update things. So, but if you need to update things, this is how you go about doing it. So we've deactivated the plugins, and the same thing goes for a SiteGround website. But now I'm logged in. So as long as you have your username and password to your WordPress site, now we can actually get in. Now we can do the things that we need. So once you get in, navigate over to plugins, and go back over here to your file manager, and we're going to rename this again. We're going to rename this back to plugins. Okay. Rename file. Okay. So now if I go back into this and I refresh, you're going to see them all reappear, but they're going to be turned off. So with that, you're going to want to go and turn on these one at a time. So that's where you're going to be able to find the conflict. And if something conflicts, if you turn it on and it automatically goes to a critical error, that's where you can go in and evaluate that plugin, go reach out to that plugin's developers and stuff like that. So as you go down, you can kind of see there's a lot of plugins can conflict with each other. So if you are going to add a lot of plugins, make sure they're reputable. I wouldn't go crazy with it. Just do what you can do. I mean, it is what it is. So as a novice, if you're a novice WordPress user and stuff like that, don't go just adding any plugins as you see fit. But go in there and you can add in all these other plugins back. And I am going to add all these back in because I already know which ones that I need. We're going to do limit loading. And again, I'm just eyeballing what all is in here. I'm going to take that off, though. No, we're going to take that off. Take that off. Okay, so we're going to go, and I'm just going to go and activate these. So if you absolutely know your core plugins, so like This would happen if you automatically go and add a plugin and it conflicts, and it immediately conflicts. So now when I turn all this stuff on, if I go back out into the front end of the site, now it looks great and pretty. So everything is back to normal and stuff like that. So if you add a plugin and this happens, obviously you know the culprit. But if all of a sudden you do an update or a plugin updates and all of a sudden it does it, then that's going to be, again, you want to do controlled updates and stuff like that. One of the best things that you can do, and SiteGround does this relatively easily, what you can do is go into here and go under, let's go under, where is it at? We're gonna do a backup of the site security. Okay, backups. So what you can do is do a backup of the site, and that if you're doing a whole bunch of updates and stuff like that, go do an update. Which brings me into my next statement, that if you are changing code, if you're changing code on your site, definitely do a backup first. Because if you do something that even the smallest, missing a character on a snippet of code. So if I were to go into here to one of these core files, so if I go into this right here, going into my theme, and I go into the functions.php, which is a common place for edits to be made, because if you're adding functionality and stuff like that. If I were to put in a random set of characters, this could throw it into a critical error. So even not closing off like certain functions and stuff like that can cause a critical error. So by doing a backup, now you can actually go and really quickly, if something like this happens, you can go into your server and say, okay, I want to restore files in database. Boom, that automatically brings you back up. So, and I know SiteGround does a great job of doing that and stuff like that. So yeah, these are the common ways that errors happen. And finally, if you see this error immediately when you're adding WordPress, just delete all the core files. Or if you feel like if you've done all these right here, you could actually go to wordpress.org and go download. My bad. WordPress.org. You go to wordpress.org, go get WordPress, and go download the most recent version. And what you can do is go into your file manager. You can go into your file manager and you want to go and update the root directories in here. So you could actually go and re-import. Don't do WP content, because that'll take out your whole theme and everything like that. As long as you haven't edited anything in WP admin, WP includes, you can go in and actually go and override. Don't want to do the config file. You can go in and override all of these files. So what you would want to do is go download it from wordpress.org, go open it up on your computer, and then just go upload it back. You'd want to delete all these out and then re-upload all of these files. But you want to make sure you do it. And if you aren't comfortable with this, have somebody else do it. We do this for people when we're transferring sites and scanning them and stuff like that too. But you could re-upload the core files and stuff like that, just to make sure that you have everything pulled over, because the WP content has all your plugins, your file, your images, your theme folder, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff in there, but you can do your root folder upload from right here. So those are all the things that are pretty common for when you lose access to based off of a fatal error warning. For WordPress. If you need any more details on this, we help people out with this all the time. I get probably a couple calls every week for people having fatal errors. Not our hosting, because we include that into our service base. And yeah, so if you don't want to manage your website anymore, we actually do hosting. We have and we have tech insurance included into it. So if anything fatal error like that happens, no questions asked. You deal with a human. It is what it is. We go in and fix it. No questions asked. No extra bill. So that is how you fix this fatal error. Appreciate you staying on top of it, and we will talk to you soon.